Now, I'm not an auctioneer, but this last week, something wild happened that you and I really should not care about, except we do because it's weird. On August 16th, 2025, a car auction took place during the Monterey Car Week on a lovely 1956 Lincoln Continental Mark II. Everything was fine, and the millions of dollars that transferred during the car weekend was about to grow by about $31,000 or so. Life was good. The car entering the final moments of the sale. Things were exciting. It hit $31,000. The auctioneer goes to swing the hammer, says sold, it comes down, and the TV shows a little beautiful icon that says sold, and life was gonna be good. A car was gone until it wasn't. The auctioneer continued the sale for this Lincoln Continental Mark II until it climbed to a staggering $33,000. Oh dear God, what are we gonna do? What? This took off. Why? Because the individual who got the short end of the stick posted about it, and it was, well, take a look.
Oh, they said sold.
That's sold.
They did say sold.
Now, Mecum Auctions, say that however you want or enunciate it in whatever way you prefer, hosts 20,000 auction lots a year. And I'm actually curious for you to tell me if the internet is overreacting on this, but as one of the largest auctioneer sites for cars, this is pretty crazy because technically speaking, this auction did seem to end. I mean, even the stream had the sold sticker on the corner. This is because I cut my finger and I don't want to talk about it because I'm not a mechanic. After all of this went live though, people started getting upset and Mecum needed to do something about it. They needed to say, sorry, we messed up. To the potential owner, maybe give them a credit, kick them on the butt, give them a 30 rack of bush, and life would be good, right? Because in our eyes, we saw that Mecum didn't honor the fact that this auction for this car was closed, except it wasn't, and the car went to somebody else. And everybody was waiting for Mecum to say, hey, listen, say you're sorry, do something about it. And they did. They looked everyone in the eyes on the internet, and they told them to get bent. Now, I am paraphrasing on that. That's not actually what they said. Mecum kind of said to this guy by the name of Body Adams World on Instagram, that's not what happened email. The real words were, we have had the opportunity to review your social media posts relative to your experience at the most recent Monterey auction in Monterey. I probably messed that up. I'll put it here. We have watched the video and would like to bring a couple things to your attention in response to your social media post. If you listen closely to the audio, you will hear that the $32,000 bid actually comes in just prior to the auctioneer starting to declare the lot sold. The auctioneer, hearing that last bid, as he begins to declare the lot sold, stops just short of declaring the lot sold and continues the bidding process. We will draw your attention to the bidder agreement, section 17, that says the auctioneer's determination in these circumstances is both finable and non-appealable. TLDR, you stink, and auctioneers can pretty much do whatever the hell they want. They are the Discord admin mods of car auctions. Over 10 million views over the last week or so have accumulated around this car and this story. This battle for $1,000 on this car. And people are obviously starting to pick two sides. And this goes deeper than that, but just bear with me, okay? Because side one is that Mecum is right. This guy is just making a big stink to get some views on the internet, some followers. After all, the dude sells cars, a lot of cars, and maybe he's just trying to get a rise out of people. Or number two, Mecum is in the wrong and they're losing a ton of credibility over $1,000. Now, if you've already heard about this, then you already know that there's actually a fail-safe law, particularly in California, to help protect from these Chris Brown scenarios. And that law does not help the person that's trying to buy the car because it says a sale by auction is complete when the auctioneer so announces by the fall of the hammer or in other customary manners. Where a bid is made while the hammer is falling in acceptance of a prior bid, the auctioneer may in his discretion reopen the bidding or declare the goods sold under the bid on which the hammer was falling. Why do we need to know any of this? I don't know. Why are we here? So how did this happen? Like, what actually broke down? I'm just going to show you the video.
Know what you're buying because fall of the hammer and the auctioneer announces sold. Ownership transfers, it's then your vehicle. So please know what you're bidding on and know what you're buying. What am I going to do? It's entirely up to you. Got 31, asking 32. Reserve is off, 31 bid. Anybody get 10? Anybody get 32,000? So 2, 3, 32, you better get 3. 32, you better get 32,000. So 2, 3, 32, you better get 3.
Oh, that is sold. It's sold. He hammered it.
You.
That's bullshit. You slammed it and said sold on there.
Were you here for the morning announcements? It's when
Fuck. Oh yeah, you hammered it.
He laid the hammer. It was supposed to be a sold car. No. I said, did he lay the hammer? Yes or no? And he started an argument. I said, I didn't ask him to say. I said, yes or no? Did he lay the hammer? And he goes, well, he did lay the hammer, but he didn't say sold. And I said,
sold.
I said sold on the screen.
Now, personally speaking, I miss the days when you bought a car off of Craigslist. You know, they were wild out there. You go to Misconnections just to see like what the hell people were willing to post about. You got yourself a little uncomfy. And then when you went back to the auto side to buy your 3000 GT VR4 for $4,000 and life was good. Nowadays, you've got Mecum, Bring a Trailer, Barrett Jackson, RM Sotheby's, pretty much every other marketplace on the internet right now. And I get screwed on how to pronounce any of these names, but auction houses have gotten relatively pretty wild. It's RM Sotheby's. Dang it. I'm sick of all you linguists in my comments telling me all the things that I'm saying wrong, especially you from across the world. Listen here, folks. I live in Wisconsin. We're going to pronounce everything wrong. I can't tell, though, seriously, if the random white male yelling in the video is the guy who did bid up to the $32,000. Like, maybe that is what happened. But Mecum's chief operating officer, Sam Murtaugh, said the same thing as the email said to the guy that was crying foul play. By the way, please don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to help out on these videos. And if you're looking for car parts, you can help us out by actually supporting the brand behind this, what I started a few years ago with some friends called MartiniWorks.com. It would mean the absolute world if you get your car parts from there. We have the lowest prices, all that sort of good stuff. It's actually what avoids me from having to do other company inserts in my videos. So this one actually just goes right back to us. It's a small business in Wisconsin. It would mean the world. Martini Works. Why this matters is just because at the surface level, it is just $1,000, right? And it happens all the time. But if you dig into it a little bit more, you do kind of start to realize how bullish and sometimes like mean these auction houses are. And I'm going to give you a couple examples because during Monterey Car Week, $432 million passed through the auction houses in 2025, which is asinine, which is how you use the word. Number one, I pulled the archives from Mecum's term page to see what it was before all of it. And it says that the bidder irrevocably submits to the jurisdiction of the state of Wisconsin, here, Circuit Court of Walworth County, for any dispute arising out of or related to any way concerning the auction lots, irrevocably agrees that all claims should be entertained in that state. Also, bidder irrevocably waives any objection or defense founded on the forum's inconvenience. Bidders at Mecum events located in California may submit disputes to one of 3 arbitrators identified by Mecum. Okay, so TLDR, if things happen to you and you want to complain about it, you either have to come to Wisconsin or you got to go handle it through one of the arbitraries in California. Otherwise, everything that they say goes. That you get no other strength in that. It's what got them out of dealing with a fake 1967 Corvette that was sold in auction in 2011. That was actually a 1964, but they said, hey, listen, it's not our... I got to be careful on the analogies I use because my dad used to say things in Spanish that translate really poorly, but I will say this. The term is that it's not your pig to f. And that whole thing was crazy because the whole story is accusing Mecum of doing title jumping on this car to get as far away of this complaint about the car not being a 64 before the guy actually got the title. Nothing ever happened to that. It's also what protected Jerry Seinfeld when an auction house called Gooding & Company sold his 1958 Porsche 356A 1500 GS/GT that apparently was not that. Now, as an expert in the Grand Exchange macroeconomics from 2007 to 2015 and old school RuneScape, I know what it means to run up the price of something, okay? Prayer pots didn't stand a chance. But in the real world, with real people's money, it kind of seems like a thing to do, right? This feeling of you're going to get a car and you buy the car and you follow the rules and then it doesn't go your way and you go to complain about it and essentially you're put in a position that you can't do anything about it. And it gets even worse because over the last couple days, I've tried my best to become an expert in understanding why this is a bigger deal than just the $1,000, right? And you can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Obviously, you will anyway. And if you think I said any words wrong, feel free to do so. But there are a lot of other things that these auction houses can do that kind of put the buyer at a disadvantage. The auctioneer has the right to place a bid for the consignor up to the reserve amount. Under no circumstances will the auctioneer place a bid on behalf of the consignor above the reserve amount. This is when we look at this Mecum situation particularly. Like, that's a real thing, which means at auction houses with no reserve, technically speaking, an auctioneer can place a makeshift bid under the pretense of fake bidding, which most people people apparently in the auction world would call shill bidding or chandelier bids. And according to this Instagram right here, I'm gonna put it right here, you can actually spot them because there are ring men or ring women who are responsible for spotting the bidders in the room, and they're supposed to run over to the person that's claiming they want to place a bid on the car, and once they see they're trying to place a bid, they run over, they get the number, then they let the auctioneer know that they have a bid. But auctioneers can make all of that up, essentially, just to rile up the old crowd, just to get all the pigeons on the ground just running amok. And that's a real thing. There's actual videos of this happening, but technically speaking, when you walk into that auction house, that's legal. And it is very weird. Now, sure, every auction house has slightly different rules, so I'm gonna put an asterisk behind everything that I'm saying right now. It's like when I was in math class. Everybody sits in the back of the room because then you can actually see who's bidding on what, and you can start to see where's the shill bidding happening versus the actual bids on the actual cars. So why does this matter to people like us? Why does it matter to you and me? I've never bought a car at auction. I take that back. I bought my first car at auction, and it was an open house thing, and it was a 1989 Mercedes-Benz 300, and I bought it for $3,000, okay? But here's the thing. I've had a bone to pick with anyone and everything driving up prices ever since 2020. When 2020 came along, the entire supply and demand of cars got topsy-turvy. Things got really weird. For the first 3 months, I would blame everything else in the world causing that issue, and everything after that was greedy little bastards, because anytime somebody can make a penny, they want a nickel. And it was insane in the automotive community because it happened so fast. Every car company started raising the prices of their cars, claiming inflation, even though they were using the same chips from 2018, the same parts from 2018, the same everything from 2018, but because of some random rhyme or reason, the car was now 30% more expensive. And that was silly. But it didn't really matter because I wasn't buying a new car back then, because I couldn't afford a new car back then. And then all of a sudden, it started happening with collector cars. You started noticing these auction houses getting more popular, the Cars and Bids of the world. Not saying that what that is bad. I'm just saying that the idea of marketplaces for cars started to grow. You had Bring a Trailer getting more and more popular. Again, not saying anything bad, but just saying the fact that these auction houses were getting more and more popular. And then what ended up happening? You started to create additional demand, additional hype around the concept of not buying a multi-million-dollar car through Mecum, not buying a $50,000 brand new Honda Civic, but now cars that 100% should not be getting sold for what they're getting sold for, getting sold for that amount. I went on Bring a Trailer one time and I saw how much 240 SXs were selling for, even the ones that weren't the cleanest, and it was insane. The cost of an NSX is insane. Don't buy the car, Alex, if it's that expensive if you don't want it. I get the concept, but the problem is that a lot of these systems that now have become almost like the lay of the land for the values of cars are being artificially inflated by the people who run the auction houses that are determining the price of the car by artificially causing the prices of the cars to go up because they're just telling the general public that they're worth that much. And they do it all the time. Like, this happens all the time, which is insane to me, because now if you go out onto auction houses, right, and you want to figure out the value of a car, and I can already hear the old men complaining about how I'm getting hyped about this. You need to settle down, all right? I'm gonna give you an ibuprofen and you're gonna have to watch for paper cuts. The thing to keep in mind is that when you look out there and you're trying to decide on the value of a car nowadays in 2025, the days of Kelley Blue Book don't really seem to be as big and as impactful as they used to be. Now, people are using the graphs on Bring a Trailer. Now people are using the auction graphs on Mecum, or they're using different things from these auction houses that are saying, well, this car sold technically for $50,000. Except if it's a non-reserved vehicle and that auction house is driving up the price of said car by having their friends or staff or people behind the scenes now artificially raising the price with fake bids so that some sucker somewhere buys this car for $50,000. Now all of a sudden you have this perpetual circle of mismanaged pricing and evaluation on cars. So am I wrong in terms of this guy should have gotten the car at 31 or 32,000? I don't know. Do I think he calls out this weird world of auction houses and the amount of control, especially in the car space, that these places have in terms of deciding the values of cars? Absolutely. And that's super scary. There's a lot of people that say, oh, well, it's your fault for going in there and you paying that amount. And I agree. Buyers have a due diligence intelligence. But holy shit, dude, you are set up with the shortest stick in the goddamn world, which is why I buy my cars unfinished and unreliable. And if you want to watch us fix those cars up, you're going to want to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, though. For real, this is a crazy story. I found it very interesting. I like to do a little research. Thank you to everybody and all the credits that I was able to pull from. Of course, drop your comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'm bleeding again. Goodbye.